What's the only thing more fun than talking about fall knitting plans? Casting everything on at once. Hi everyone, I'm Liz and welcome back to Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. Today's video is going to be a fall knitting plans video, except I'm going to cast everything on at once. Okay, not everything today, but everything's going to get cast on in this video. I'm going to film this kind of vlog style and show you each project and talk about it as I get it started. My plan for today, which today is September 1st, which is really the unofficial kickoff to a knitter's fall. Full disclosure, I'm actually a summer girl, gasp, and it is currently, 95 degrees and like 95% humidity outside because it's been rainy all weekend. But I'm dreaming of cooler days ahead, which we probably won't get till November, but I'm gonna get started on all my fall sweaters right now. So while I am a summer girl at heart because I love the pool, I love the sunshine, I love the heat, fall is a close second just because it's really like the best time of year to be a knitter. All of the new patterns, all of the inspiration, all of the beautiful fall colors and just the cozy vibes of it all. So I was kind of putting together a list for what I wanted to knit this fall, and I was going to share that in a video with the yarn, what I want to do. And then I thought, I really just want to cast it all on. So this is a little crazy, and I am going to create kind of, a bunch of new whips for myself, but I have the yarn. Everything's coming out of my stash, whether it's been in the stash for a couple of years or it's something that I just picked up at Flock on my most recent trip. But yeah, I've got it all here. Let's just get all the projects started and we'll talk about them. So today, my task is going to be swatching. I need to cake up a couple of these yarns and do a few swatches. And that will inform what size and what needle sizes and, all the good knitter stuff that you're supposed to do before you cast on a project. And I have been known to be guilty of not doing what I should be, but especially for this yarn here, this is a heavy DK light worsted, and it's like I think an 18.5 or 19 stitch gauge project that I have planned for this, which is slightly bigger than most of the DK weight sweaters that I knit. So I do want to swatch with this one to make sure I know what my stitch and row gauge is. It's also a new pattern to me. So this I need to swatch. These two, the burnt orange and the white, are going to be held together for a marled sweater, so I definitely need to swatch for that. This one is going to be a Friday tee long sleeve. This is going to be a cardigan. So, and a pair of socks. I had to sneak another pair of socks in there. And actually, one of my fall plans has already been cast on and has a significant amount of progress. So I'll definitely show you that in this video. But yeah, I just wanted to come in, kick it off, let you know what we're doing, and over the next week or so, I'm gonna get all of these projects started and talk to you guys all about them. Well, hello guys. It is Wednesday, September 3rd. So it's been a couple of days since I kicked off this whole cast on everything at once challenge slash just sounded like a fun thing to do type of video. And I have been doing a little bit of swatching, and I've also been trying to finish up a couple of other projects I had going in the background to give myself more space to focus on all my fall knitting plans. But the time has come and I am ready to kick off my fall knitting plans full speed ahead. And I'm gonna start this video with two projects that are actually already in progress that I started a couple of weeks ago. The first one is actually almost done. Like if I had waited to film this segment until tomorrow, this would be a finished project, but I'm gonna show it to you now. This is the Shift Cowl by Andrea Mowry. And I kitted this project up when I was at the Lamb and Kid in Bainbridge Island near Seattle, Washington. I was just there a few weeks ago, right before Flock Fiber Fest, and I was so enamored. The Lamb and Kid store is just amazing, and they had a whole wall of Spin Cycle, and they had some kits or examples of shift cowls kitted up with 2 skeins of Spin Cycle and 1 skein of their cashmere, and I fell in love and I needed to knit myself a shift cowl. So I picked out 2 colors of Spin Cycle. One was called Levitate and one is Midsummer. And then instead of the cashmere, I actually picked up a skein of their sock weight, like superwash merino nylon. And I'm forgetting the color name, but I know I've got photos of it. And I cast this on, I don't even know if it's been 2 weeks. I cast this on recently and I am almost done with it. It has been so addicting to knit on, and look how good it looks. Oh, this is such a fun project. I feel like a lot of knitters have knit this, but if you haven't, you don't have to do it with Spin Cycle. I do recommend getting some kind of color changing yarn, but I know lots of brands do color changing yarn, and then you pair it, you can pair it with a solid, or you can do multiple color changing yarns so the colors really play around. But what I did was 2 color changing yarns and 1 solid. So you can see that I was just alternating the different skeins of color changing with that, I want to call it pukey green. It's like mossy green, olivey green. And then at this point, it switched to just being the 2 color changing yarns. So it gets really super colorful and I'm obsessed with it. Eventually this will get sewn together. So like when I wear it, it will kind of look like this. Oh my gosh. How cute is this? I'm so excited. So I really only have, I think, about 10 more rows to knit on this, and then the I-cord bind off, and then I'll sew it up. Well, I guess I'll block it, weave in my ends, and then sew it up. How fun is this? The colors. So I am knitting this with the called for needle size. I didn't gauge swatch because it's a cowl, but the pattern does provide dimensions, and mine is coming out, like I've been measuring, and mine's coming out to the pattern dimensions. So I think I'm right on gauge, which is excellent. I am using a fingering weight with the sport weight, but I kind of find for my gauge, Spin Cycle feels closer to a fingering weight than a true sport weight for me. Like it just feels like a lighter sport weight. So I have no problem mixing it with fingering weight. But yeah, I think that's all I need to say about this one. It will be a finish soon. And it was on my fall knitting plan list. I just got a jump start on it. And then the second project that I got a jump start on right after I got home from Flock, because again, it was a project I kitted up while I was at Flock Fiber Festival, and it is the Ooey Gooey sweater by Andrea Mowry. Apparently I was very inspired by Andrea Mowry this year, and she uses a lot of Spin Cycle. I've just fallen so in love with Spin Cycle yarns, and it's really awesome to get to shop them in person because they're so unique. Each skein is different that it's nice to be able to like pick them out in person. It's not really something I want to online shop for. And to be honest, when I saw the Ooey Gooey pattern at first, I was like, oh, okay, cute, whatever, not my thing. But then I feel like so many people started casting them on and I was like, wait, I want one. But I couldn't figure out what color scheme would be, like what colors I wanted to go with. I can't remember if I shared this in my Flock vlog or not, but all day Saturday, that first day of shopping, I was going back and forth, and I had even picked a different yarn I thought would be the main color, and I had picked a different Spin Cycle, and I just couldn't figure things out until I came upon my perfect combination on Sunday. Really what happened is I picked the spin cycle and was like, I'm going to find a color that works with this spin cycle. That's kind of like the approach I took. And I'm really, really happy with the combination I came up with. And I have knit quite a bit on my Ooey Gooey. If you follow me on Instagram, I've been sharing photos over there a lot more in real time. If you're ever wondering what I'm up to kind of in real time, definitely go check out my Instagram. It takes me a long time to film and edit videos with my full-time corporate life job. I wish I got to do this full-time all the time, but unfortunately, I have a real job I gotta sustain. So, you know, I make videos as and when I can. And why was I saying that? Oh, I guess just saying that if you want more like day-to-day updates, follow me on Instagram. Otherwise, just check back here every couple of weeks and hopefully I'll have a new video. But yeah, the Ooey Gooey, I cast this on, I think, honestly, 2 days after I got home. I just was in that flock knitting, all the new stuff, I want to cast it on right now type of mood. And then I became obsessed and I didn't put this down for a few weeks until honestly I started that shift cowl. So I haven't worked on this in about a week, but here it is. Doesn't that look good? Oh, okay. Love it. If you're familiar with the Ooey Gooey, you can probably already see a modification I made right here. Okay, let me start with the stats. Ooey Gooey pattern by Andrea Mowry. I am knitting with mostly the called for needles. I basically had to go up a needle for my color work because I tend to knit color work really tight. And then I went down to my normal needle size for the stockinette portions just so that my gauge evens out. I noticed on my Alpine Bloom, which was another color work pattern I knit last year, that I didn't change needle sizes. I just used a 4 for the top and the bottom. And the bottom of my sweater definitely flares a bit more than the yoke. It's not super noticeable, but I noticed it. And I was like, let me just go up a needle size of my color work. That way it's a little bit looser and matches the gauge better of my stockinette. So I am doing that same thing here on this pattern. And really the only other modification I've made is that I did remove the welts or the little like kind of folded piping details from the pattern. I just didn't want anything kind of 3D around this part of my neck. I don't know why. I just felt like they would bother me. I don't know. I can't really explain it, but I just wasn't into them. I didn't really want to knit them. And so I was like, okay, no problem. I'll just take them out and I'll do stripes instead. I do wish that I had chosen a different kind of stripe. Like I kind of wish I had just done a 1-row purl round maybe, or just a single knit round, because I did 2 rows of red, 2 rows of pink, 2 rows of red. And to me, it kind of looks sporty now, where the sweater is not very like sporty. I mean, obviously I didn't dislike it because I kept going, but I do think in hindsight, maybe I wish I had made these a little thinner or just left them out entirely. It could have just been, you know, like it didn't really need the contrast stripe there. So that is one modification I made. And then other than that, the only other modification I had to make was that my row gauge is always longer than it should be. And so I had to speed up my increases below the color work to get to where I needed to be for like splitting for the underarms quicker, like more quickly than the pattern called for. Because if I had followed the pattern with the row counts, my yoke would have been way too big and way too long. So I modified that to make it fit. And now I am just working on the body, and I've got about 4 inches of body knit. And I should have a picture of me wearing this the other day when I kind of put it on hold to try it on. And so far I think it's fitting really great. I think it's gonna have about 2 inches of ease through the widest part of my chest and then kind of just hang straight from there, which is really what I was going for. I find that with circular yoke sweaters, I don't want them to be super oversized. I feel like those look better on me when they're a little more fitted, or a little more close to neutral ease rather than like 10 inches of positive ease. I can't remember exactly what the pattern called for. I think it only called for maybe like 6 inches, but I did knit a size pretty close to my chest size. So yeah, I think that's everything I have to say about the Ooey Gooey. So we should move on to the project that's gonna get cast on right now. Oh, but before we move on, just one more time for my favorite project bag. I got this at Flock. If you watched my vlog, I gushed over it. I'm obsessed with this bag. It's like puffy kind of parachute material, and it is from that crafty little fox. Love it. Okay, so the first project that's getting cast on is going to be the coloring book Raglan by Amy Sher. Amy Sher? Amy Sher. And I am going to cast this on using the Loop Fiber Studio Yin Yang yarn. And it's a Wizard of Oz themed color. I'm already forgetting. Oh wait, it's right here. My main color is called I'll Get You My Pretty. And then my one kind of accent skein is Your Little Dog Too, which is just the inverse of my main color. And I haven't completely decided on how I'm going to use this contrast color. I definitely need to use it. I need to probably use most of it. That way I'm not playing yarn chicken with my main color. I'm either going to do the kind of chunky stripes that Amy shows in one of her samples, or I mocked up an idea of using this as the collar, the wrists, and the body hem. But the only concern there is that it might not use enough yarn. Like I don't want to be playing yarn chicken with, I think I have 5 skeins. I have 5 skeins of this and 1 of this. So according to the pattern estimates, I should have plenty of yarn. I don't know. I'm just like feeling like I haven't knit a worsted weight sweater in like 15 years. And for some reason in my head, worsted weight just like goes so quick and you need so much of it to make a garment, even though I've read the estimate and I think I have enough. I'm just paranoid and I hate playing yarn chicken. I think what I'll end up doing is the chunky striped version that Amy did rather than my contrast collar, cuff, and hem. I mean, I need to decide tonight because I'm casting on and you cast on with the neck. So I either need to cast on in the light color or in the main color. Okay, I'll figure that out. But I did swatch, but I did the like lazy girl version of the swatch because as you can see, ooh, losing the yarn ball. Because as you can see, my swatch is still attached to my needles. And the reason why is because I'm concerned that I'm playing yarn chicken. And so I didn't want to cut the yarn and then have to come back and unravel this later. I just want to unravel it and use it to cast on with. And I am meeting stitch gauge. I am close on row gauge, so that's fine. And I know I should cast this off and wash it and block it, but the sweater is just like an oversized, comfy Raglan sweatshirt. So if it comes out slightly larger than I think it will, like if this yarn blocks out bigger than I think it's going to, okay, it's a little more oversized than I intended, but this is intended to be an oversized, comfy, cozy sweatshirt for me. So I'm just going for it. I would say don't listen to me. Always make your swatch, always wash and block it. But I like to live fast and dangerous over here. So basically I knit enough to get a 4-inch stitch gauge and a 2-inch row gauge. And I'm obsessed with the fabric that this yarn makes. I can't stop feeling it. I'm so excited to wear it. I'm also excited to knit it because I haven't knit a sweater on a needle bigger than a size 7 in 15 years. And I have been knitting so much sport weight and fingering weight over the last 4 to 6 months that knitting with worsted weight on size 8 needles, it's gonna feel so fast. So I'm very much looking forward to casting this on. I've got my main color caked up. You know what? I'm just gonna make the call right here. I'm gonna cast on with my main color. I'm gonna do chunky stripes around the chest and the arms to use my accent color. And that's gonna be the plan. I even just dug out my needles. I needed, I think, a US size 6 to cast on for the neck. I am planning on making the 5th size of this, which is my size according to gauge, so shouldn't have to really make any modifications there. I think the yoke is slightly deeper than I traditionally make. I was looking at the schematic yesterday, but I'll decide if I'm going to adjust the yoke depth once I get a little bit further into the project. But yeah, I think that's all I want to say about this project right now. I'm going to get it cast on, and I will probably spend tomorrow, maybe Friday, depending on how it's going, working on this before I come show you my progress and move on to the next project. I have actually got some travel coming up over the next 2 weeks. So my intention when I started the intro to this video was that I would do this over a week, but in less than a week, I've got to leave for a work trip, and then I've got to leave for a family trip after that. So I think this vlog, if I have to guess, is gonna run for maybe a couple of weeks, and a couple of these projects might become travel projects as I get everything cast on over the first half of September, I'm guessing. So yeah, that's the plan. I will be back to show you where I get with this one, and then we'll move on to all the rest of the projects. Does anybody else just have a bag full of bags in their room? I need to pick out a project bag for my new start. And I do have, oh, it's kind of big though, but I have this super cute tote I got at Pike's Place. That might work. I've got my classic Trader Joe's bags. It is Fish Girl fall after all, so maybe I should use my sardines bag as my project bag. Ooh, and it's even got that yellow in it. Okay, we'll go with the sardines bag.
I'm going to go under both strands of my thumb and back through the first back one. Grab the yarn on my index finger and then under the loop of my thumb and back up.
Holding myself cast on in my new sweater. TV break, we'll be back. Well, hi, hello. It is Friday, September 5th now, and I am coming back to show you my first fall cast on progress. I didn't have the most knitting time over the last couple of days, but I did get a good, decent start on this, especially since this is knit with worsted weight yarn. I feel like I got pretty good progress. Let's see, I made it all the way through the short rows, and I'm now working on my Raglan shaping. It is on a little 24-inch needle, so it's hard to see. I'll spread it out a little bit there for you. I think this color is so pretty. I don't know if it's like my perfect color, but I think it's deep enough that like it gives enough contrast. It doesn't just look like I'm wearing a skin tone related color. I actually would really love to keep working on this, but I really do want to cast on all my fall projects. So I have decided that tonight I'm going to set this one aside and I'm going to start the second project on my list. Since I'm kind of doing this whole video vlog style, if I put any more progress on this before I wrap up the video, I will come back and share it. I'm just going to kind of keep doing these knitting check-ins until I've got all of my fall projects cast on. So yeah, let's talk about the next one. So the next project that I am casting on for fall is the Fidalgo cardigan by Mishi Fraz Knits. And I have followed Michelle's YouTube channel for, I think, the last year. I think I found her last year when she did a Flock recap. And then this year at Flock, I made a point to go see her Fidalgo cardigan samples in, I think it was the So Happy Jane yarn booth, and they were so lovely. I knew though that I had a great sweater quantity at home, so I actually didn't kit this up at Flock, but I did get to meet Michelle, said hello to her. She's super sweet and nice, and told her how excited I was about this cardigan because I already had saved it in my favorites and I knew that it was a cardigan that I wanted to make. So I'm planning to cast this on with some Sorella yarn that I have in my stash. It is the color Hot Toddy, and it is their classic DK, 100% superwash merino wool, 231 yards for 100 grams. So just kind of like more of a heavy DK, which is perfect because technically this pattern calls for a worsted weight yarn. I don't even know if you'd call this heavy DK, maybe a true DK, but I am using this in place of worsted weight. Just based on the needle size the designer called for and knowing my gauge, I knew that DK weight yarn would work for me, and I prefer a little bit more lightweight garments just because of living in Texas. I am working on that yellow sweater that's worsted weight, but I can't do more than one worsted weight project a year, probably. Because I can't wear that many heavy garments. I've gotten off track. Anyways, this is one of the projects that I did swatch for at the start of this week. I didn't wash and block it, but I did swatch, and my gauge is like almost perfect, which is awesome. And I wonder, is it hard to kind of see the texture a little bit? I feel like it's really apparent in person, but now on video, it's like a broken rib texture. So it's kind of like a wide 3x1 rib. And I really like the kind of vertical stripe feeling it gives to the garment. And I'm knitting this with the called for size 7 needles. That's what I got gauge with. I think I'm a half stitch off gauge, but like it's close enough. And yeah, this is what I'm going to cast on. I think I haven't looked to the pattern too closely, but I'm pretty sure it's done with like kind of a trapezoid shaped back panel, and then you like pick up for the fronts. It is knit flat because it's a cardigan, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't have a great track record with cardigans because I just hate purling. I hate knitting flat. Yeah, I really want to change that though. I want cardigans. I feel like they're so much more versatile, and I don't have any. The last 2 to 3 years that I've been back kind of knitting a ton again, I haven't completed one single cardigan, and I've started like 3 of them, and now I'm gonna start a 4th. We'll see if this one is a success. One reason that I think this one might be more successful for me is because it uses a slightly textured stitch pattern, and I feel like having a textured stitch pattern is easier than just plain flat stockinette for me, because I don't know, it keeps my mind engaged and I don't just like think about the super long purl rows. I don't know. This is all conjecture. I haven't started knitting it, but I think I am gonna go ahead and get this one cast on tonight, and I will come back to you later this weekend and report on my progress. Oh, we need a project bag. That'll work. Hi friends, happy Sunday. It is now September, it must be the 6th. I don't know if I have my days right. Anyways, I wanted to come back and show you where I got to on my Fidalgo cardigan start. I worked on this the past 2 days, although I had limited knitting time because I was also trying to work on getting a video edited and uploaded. But I did get a decent little start here on the back panel of my Fidalgo cardigan. And this is I'm really glad I chose this pattern for a lot of reasons, but one is that it is a new to me method of construction. And you start with this little Judy's Magic cast on, so you can create this little rectangular start of what will be the button band. And then you pick up stitches to kind of create this trapezoid back panel. And then eventually, you'll see these are on hold here. Eventually when I pick up the fronts, this neckband or button band will be integrated fully into the front of the cardigan. So there won't be any reason to go and pick up a button band at the end of this project. Hooray! Because I have started a lot of cardigans and not finished a lot of cardigans. I did knit one cardigan like 15 years ago, but I haven't knit any recently. Honestly, picking up the button band is kind of intimidating because what if you pick up too many stitches and it's wavy? What if you pick up too few and it like lifts the bottom? I've seen lots of, potential problems on cardigans, and I love that this one has a button band that you knit as you go. So I feel like there's less opportunity for me to trip myself up and for things to go wrong. And yeah, I'm very, very happy with how this is looking so far. Honestly, I would love to keep going on it, but I want to start my next fall project. So we're going to go ahead and set this one aside. And yeah, that's the update on the Fidalgo cardigan. Oh, one other thing I did want to mention is that I am using hand-dyed yarn, and while my skeins all look very, very similar, I do think that once I get the back, the fronts, and everything joined, not in the round, but joined as one big piece, I will start alternating skeins at that point, because when you're knitting flat, it's very, very easy to just switch yarns at the end of a row. So I'll knit across and back, and then every 2 rows, I'll be able to alternate my yarns very easily without having to do like helical knitting or some kind of special slip stitch and join type of situation. So I will start alternating once I have kind of the full thing together. And so far, I think based on holding up the skeins next to each other, they all look so similar that I could probably get away with not alternating, but I will, just because it'll be easy while I'm knitting kind of flat. So yeah, okay. I think that's everything I need to say about my Fidalgo. And then before we start the next project, I have a little update for you on one of the fall projects that I had started a couple of weeks ago that I showed you at the beginning of the video, and that is my shift cowl by Andrea Mowry. I finished knitting it. Late last night, I looked at this and realized I don't have that much more to knit, and I wanted to get it done. So it has not been blocked, the ends have not been woven in, but I finished knitting it. Oh my gosh. I'm obsessed. Obsessed. My little I-cord cast on is rolling up. It needs to be blocked so bad, but I am obsessed with how these colors turned out. I think I gave you all the yarn stats at the start of the video. 2 skeins of Spin Cycle, 1 skein of Lamb & Kid Trio, and I'm so excited to get to wear this. I also feel like this is not going to be my last shift cowl. I think this would make an excellent, excellent gift knit for somebody like really special and important to you, because, it does take a week or 2 of dedicated work. And if you want to do it at a Spin Cycle, it's kind of a pricey project, but I can definitely see myself making more of these in the future. I mean, this whole section right here where it's just the 2 skeins of Spin Cycle alternated is so cool. And then this side is my green kind of background color alternated with the 2 different skeins of Spin Cycle. It's just such a cool overall effect. Yay. So yeah, this is done, and I really want to block it and seam up the back. So this gets folded here at these edges, and this, where is it? I left a long tail somewhere to, oh yeah, right here. So like you leave an extra long tail, so that's used to seam up this back piece that turns it into a cowl. So yeah, I figured before we cast on the next project, let's go give this a block first. Hi friends, Liz from the future here because I realized I forgot to ever come back and show you my first completed fall knitting project. I showed you earlier in the video that I finished knitting my shift cowl and I blocked it, wove in the ends, and I got it sewn up, and it's a completely finished wearable object now. And it looks so good. Can see where all the crazy colors collide at the back. It definitely has a dark and a bright side, but I think it looks really good. It is about 90 degrees outside, so I will not be keeping this on, but here is a little look at it. Nice and loose, plenty of length to like tuck into a coat. I think I could even like pull this up. Oop. Sorry, my hair is all over the place, but like I could even pull this up and use it like a hood. I love it. And it looks great with my winter coat. I actually got a new winter coat this year, and I'm sure for everybody else it would be like a light fall, light spring jacket, but for Texas, I got a new coat and I think it looks really nice with it. I think I just took a picture, so yeah. I talked about it before in this video, I think, but I'm obsessed with this pattern. I definitely see myself making more of these, and I cannot wait for, you know, a few months from now when it's cool enough outside that I can actually wear this, because I just think it looks so awesome, and I feel like the combinations can be endless. So okay, that's my shift cowl. Okay, so while that blocks, let's cast on the next project. And this next project in my fall knitting lineup is the Friday Tee by Petite Knit. This is a fingering weight knit t-shirt that I think I'm actually gonna make long sleeves. I've checked, I have more than enough yarn, I believe. So if for some reason I don't, it'll be a t-shirt, but my plan is to knit it with long sleeves. And I have had this in my favorites list for the last 3 years, wanting to knit it. It will be a project that takes quite a bit of time as it is fingering weight, but I'm okay with that. I really like the feel of fingering weight garments, and I really enjoy a broken rib texture pattern. I'm just realizing that the Fidalgo cardigan that I just showed you is a broken rib texture pattern, and now my Friday tee will be a broken rib texture pattern, and I'm very excited. I love the look. I'm actually doing one kind of similar to Petite Knit's example photo, I think, but my main color is actually going to be this lovely chocolate brown, and then this kind of cool white gray color will be my accent stripes. And yeah, I'm very excited. This yarn is from U2 Yarn, and it's their 100% superwash merino fingering weight. And this is something that I picked up in their store in Waxahachie near Dallas last year, actually in the fall, when I was on a trip to Dallas to a Cowboys game. They lost their game this week, but whatever, I'm still repping Cowboys. So yeah, I thought about swatching for this one, but the truth is I have knit probably 6, 7, 8 I don't know, a lot of petite knit patterns. And I think we have the exact same gauge. She's one of those designers for me where if she says I should be getting 20 stitches per 4 inches on size 6, that's what I get. So, and since I've already done some fingering weight garments from her and was able to get gauge, I think I'm safe to just cast on. This is another example of don't do what I do your gauge swatch. But for me, with a petite knit pattern, I feel pretty safe just going for it. So yeah, I'm just gonna use a recommended needle size and start going. Once I get a little bit through the yoke and can measure if I feel like I'm really far off, you know, we'll figure out a plan of action, but I think I'm pretty safe to just go ahead and start. So that's what I'm gonna do. It starts with like a folded over collar. So I need to make sure I have the right size 16-inch circular so I can get started with the collar. And then I do have my accent color caked up and ready to go when I need it. This project I particularly wanted to start today, which is Sunday, because I leave tomorrow afternoon for a work trip. I'll be gone Monday through Friday next week. And I was thinking about what projects I wanted to take with me. So since this is a fingering weight garment and I'm just about to cast it on, it won't take up much space. So I think this is the project that I want to take with me on my work trip, as well as one other new fall start so that I can keep this video rolling into next week when I'm not at home. And the next project I want to start is actually a fingering weight sock pattern. So that'll be easy enough to take with me. But yeah, anyways, I just wanted to get this cast on today so that it can come with me on my trip next week. So yeah, I'm gonna go get it started and I'll check back in and show you the progress. Hello friends, good morning. It is Monday, September something. I still haven't looked up the right day, and I'm working today, and this afternoon I get on a plane to go on my work trip. And my plan, I should have got my tripod out and said I'm just gonna slouch. My plan was to take my new Friday tee project with me. And I'm like questioning myself as I say this. I had decided that I wasn't going to take it because I have not finished the collar. So here is where I got to yesterday. And so I did the first half and then I did the kind of fold rounds because eventually this will get and turn into a folded collar. And my hope was that I would be through the collar and through the short rows. That way it was just like an easy in the round knitting project to take with me. But I didn't get there. Now I'm questioning if I should just bring this just in case I have time to work on it on my trip. I think I just want to take easy knitting. That's what I was coming back here to say. Basically, I think this work week is going to be a little bit of a pause on my fall knitting plans. I am going to take with me my coloring book Raglan, the mustard project that I started earlier in this vlog, because that is in an easy in the round knitting state. So I'm just going to take the one ball of yarn. I'm about halfway through my first 100-gram ball. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to take an existing sock project, like just something easy to knit on. Although I'm saying easy, let me show you the sock project I picked out to bring. This is a project I had not even added to my Ravelry until last night because I forgot I had started it. And that is a pair of Petal Drop socks by Florence Miller. And I started these actually before my last work trip and then decided they were too complicated to take because it's like a lace pattern. But it's like a super easily memorizable pattern. So I think I might go ahead and take these along with my coloring book Raglan project. And that's gonna be my travel projects for the week. Yeah, I also did throw some cross stitch in my bag just in case. I always overpack crafts on work trips. I always think I'm gonna have more time and energy in the evenings to work on projects than I actually end up having. but I like to have options. I like to be prepared. So yeah, that's the update. I just wanted to show you kind of where I got to with my Friday tea, which is honestly not far. I worked on this a lot yesterday while watching football, but I also had to pack laundry, you know, get ready for the trip today. But like, you know, there's the start of the collar. I just need to do the second half of it and then knit it together. And then I can start on the actual like yoke of the sweater and start striping it. I'm very happy with this color though. This is definitely a step outside of the box in terms of what I normally knit with. You know, I love bright colors, and I don't know that I've done, I mean, I guess I did kind of a gray brown neutral on the Traveler hoodie that I knit last year, but I haven't really done this kind of a dark brown yet, so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, but I am going to leave this project here, and I'm not going to bring any new starts with me because I just got a little bit overwhelmed at thinking about having all the right supplies and stuff with me to make sure I could cast on some new projects. And I just don't have time for that stress this week. It's going to be a very busy, stressful work week. And I'm like, why am I trying to introduce new stress or additional stress by bringing new starts? So I'm just going to bring one of my in-progress fall projects, this sock project, and that's what I'll work on. So yeah, I will be home in 5 days, 4.5 days. And we will pick up the new starts again next weekend. That's the check-in for now. I need to finish my workday, get all my stuff together, and head to the airport. So I'll check in with you guys from California. Hello, my friends. It is Wednesday evening, checking in from my business trip. It is my favorite time of day on a business trip, which is what I call bed picnic time. I have ordered too much Cheesecake Factory, had a bite of everything, and now I've got YouTube up on my iPad. I've got a knitting project and 2 hours to do nothing but knit and watch YouTube and chill before I need to shower, go to bed, and go to work in the morning. I'm so boring on business trips. I just work all day long, talk nonstop, and kind of wear myself out, and then I always end up just getting takeout and chilling in bed because I don't know, what else am I gonna do? So yeah, I think I updated on Monday before I left for my trip that I kind of just got stressed by the idea of bringing new projects. So I brought a pair of socks. That was not part of my fall plans, but just because I wanted to bring a pair of socks with me. And then I did bring my coloring book Raglan that I started at the start of this video. And yeah, I'm gonna put a couple of hours of work on this and I'll share some progress with you when I have it. But yeah, just wanted to do a quick check-in on my work trip. When I get home this weekend, we will be starting, well, I'm gonna continue to work on my Friday, what's it called, the Friday tee? But I'm making a sweater version. The brown and white that I started, because I want to get that collar done and get started with the yoke before I like put it away to finish the rest of my fall cast-ons. So yeah, we'll work on that, and then we'll get the last big project from my fall knitting plans cast on, and then, you know, I'll start making some significant progress on some of these projects. The absolute chaos of my hotel room bed. I do not live like this at home, but for some reason I'm an absolute animal on a business trip. So, you know.
I have, what, 3 finished objects? One is mostly finished. I haven't blocked it yet, though. And I also haven't talked about it in ages. I saw it sitting upstairs.
Hello friends, I'm back home, back in my craft room. It is Friday evening now. I got home a couple of hours ago and I've just been chilling on the couch with Rob and the cats, and yeah, I wanted to come back here and get started again on my fall knitting projects now that it is the weekend and I'm back home. The only thing I showed you guys last night when I was knitting on, or maybe the night before when I was knitting on my coloring book Raglan, I just did a few rounds on that, but really mostly what I worked on my trip was this sock. Oh my gosh, it looks so stripy in the camera. How wild. It does not look that stripy in person, but anyways, not part of my fall knitting plans, but it is what I chose to take on my trip with me. And so I did get the leg completed and I did my heel, and I'm just working on the gusset decreases right now. But I'm gonna leave this alone for now and revisit my fall knitting starts. And before I start anything else new for the rest of this evening until I fall asleep, which might be in a couple of hours because I am tired. I had to get up at like 7 this morning for my flight. It's not that early, but I didn't get, like, I don't think I really fully fell asleep till like 12:30-ish, so I'm just sleepy now. But I am going to revisit my Friday tee by Petite Knit that I started before I left. And I was on the collar and I had done the double knitting and I'm working on the second half, and then it will get, you know, kind of sewn together. So I think what I'm going to try and do is get this collar finished tonight and get the body started before I move on to my next fall knitting start. I think that's all I have for you right now. I am going to go back to the couch, do some knitting, have some dinner, and try not to fall asleep until at least 9 or 10 p.m. Okay, also this is not part of my fall knitting plans, but it did just come in the mail today, or maybe yesterday while I was out of town. I absolutely love the music from K-pop Demon Hunters. I had 2 friends staying with me in July and we watched the movie. That's the only time I've seen it, but the soundtrack has been on repeat. And this hand dyer called Oakwood Knits did a K-pop Demon Hunters like collection or pre-order. And so I got her cashmere sock, 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, in the color golden. Isn't that so pretty? I love it. Did I need another skein of sock yarn? I did not, but it came in the mail. So anyways, okay, I am gonna go work on my Friday tee. I'm back to show you where I got to and kind of wrap up the section of my Friday tee. I knit on this pretty much all day. I laid out by the pool. I knit in the pool. It was wonderful and hot. It is still so hot here. I'm starting all my fall knits, but I likely won't get to wear these until at least November. But that's okay. Guys, you can really see where I change colors here. There are instructions for how to do the jogless stripe, but this point is like on the back shoulder, so I haven't really been paying too much attention to it. I think it's gonna be fine. So anyways, I did the collar, I did my short rows, and now I am just in the round doing all of my raglan increasing. And so far I've made one modification from the pattern, and it's mostly because I just couldn't figure out how to do exactly what the pattern was asking for when folding down the collar. So basically, for this pattern, you cast on, you start knitting the collar in 1x1 rib, and then you do some double knitting to create like this fold line. And then when you knit an equal number of rows for the second half of the collar, you're supposed to fold over, let me show you this way. You're supposed to fold this over and then pick up and knit the fold in place. I don't know. I've tried it before and I didn't get it. I tried to follow the tutorial or the instructions this time. I didn't get it. So instead, what I'm gonna do, which is what I've done in the past, is just use thread and a needle and a tapestry needle to sew the collar down as like a finishing, rather than like, obviously I didn't knit it down when I started the body, because that's in progress. So I actually probably could just take a break from knitting right here and sew it down, but I'll probably just wait till I get further along in the sweater. But so far, that's the only modification I've made. I'm absolutely loving my color. I think it looks so good. I'm really excited to have a nice dark brown sweater, and I think the little white stripes are gonna be super cute. So I think we can call this one officially started, cast on. I'm leaving it in a good place. It's just in kind of the endless raglan increasing stage. This is definitely going to be a project that is on my needles for a while, because it is fingering weight yarn, knit on 3mm needles at a fairly tight gauge. So yeah. I was like casting on worsted weight and DK weight sweaters at the beginning of this video, being like, it's so great, I'm past my summer, you know, sport weight and fingering weight obsession. But actually, now that I'm thinking about it, so I have started 4 sweaters for this fall knitting plans video, and one of them's fingering weight, one of them's sport weight, one of them's DK, and the other one is worsted weight. So I really have one of everything happening over here. Okay, so I did think that I was gonna cast on a 5th fall sweater. It was on the plan, and I showed you the yarn at the beginning of this video, but I have talked myself out of it. I am gonna show you guys the yarn and talk about the plan, because it's still very much something I wanna knit. I'm just not gonna cast it on yet, so I'm not gonna consider it part of my fall knitting plans and goals. So I have this Cascade 220 Superwash fingering yarn that I actually got for like 50% off at a yarn store in Indiana near where my in-laws are. And I have this burnt orange and white color. They didn't have enough of either of these colors for a sweater quantity, but they had enough if I bought half and half that it was a sweater quantity. So I was like, oh, I'll make something striped. I love stripes. But I also really love the Melange sweater by Petite Knit. And I've been thinking about it for a while now. And I think I have just enough of this yarn that I can hold a strand of the burnt orange and the cream together and do a Melange sweater. I'm just not going to cast it on yet because I have 4 sweaters freshly cast on, and I really want to work on all of them right now, which obviously I can. I need to kind of pick one, make some progress, and get these moving. But I just don't think it's in my best interest to start a 5th fall sweater. So yeah, this yarn will likely become a Melange sweater at some point, but it's gonna go back in the cabinet for now. And I'm not gonna cast on a 5th sweater. The last project that I had originally planned to include in this video as part of my fall knitting plans is this sock pattern. I'm totally blanking out on the name, and I'm filming on my phone, so I can't look it up right this second. But I really, really liked the fold over cuff and kind of little shorty no-show type of socks. And I really wanted to knit these. And I thought I might cast them on in this video as part of my fall knitting plans, But I'm not going to do that because of the pink socks that I showed you guys from my trip earlier this week. I forgot I had started those over the summer, and yeah, they're very clearly like more summery, lacy, and pink, like strawberry pink, not very fall themed, but those are going to be the socks that I try and get finished up this fall instead of starting another pair. If you watch my videos, you probably know how many unfinished socks I have lingering in this cabinet, so I'm not going to start another pair. This was the yarn that I was going to start the socks with. It is Magpie Fiber Swanky Sock in the color Dream Beaver, which is just such a pretty soft pink with little like earth tone speckles. And I still really want to knit a pair of socks out of this, but I'm not going to start them right now. I really like where all of my new fall projects are at, and I really want to keep working on them. So I'm just going to call it good for now and stop casting on new projects, at least for this week. Now, really, I just have to decide which one of them I want to finish first. My Ooey Gooey is definitely the closest to being finished because I have split for sleeves and I've got, you know, maybe 3 or 4 inches of the body knit. This is the one that I've been working on the longest because I did start it prior to this video, but yeah, this might be the first priority to finish, or it might be my coloring book Raglan. So I actually feel like I could probably get this one done even faster than my Ooey Gooey because this is my worsted weight project that I started. And I did give this a little bit of love on my business trip last week. I mean, honestly, probably only like 8 or 10 rounds of knitting. I don't know. But I love the way it looks. The yarn feels amazing. And since it's on size 8 needles, I feel like this could kind of fly. So yeah, you know, I'm not sure. I just work on whatever I feel like working on in the moment, and that's probably what's going to end up happening here. So I'm not going to make any predictions about what's going to get finished first, but yeah, we'll see what happens. And then just for funsies, I did grab my coloring book Raglan, and I ran out of yarn on my first skein, so I decided it was a perfect time to go ahead and try it on. Oh my goodness. I love it. And I think this color is going to be good for me. Yeah. Okay. So I think I have about 14 repeats left on my Raglan increasing before I'm ready to split for sleeves. So yeah, I have a ways to go, but oh, it's looking good. It's looking very wide through here, but my gauge is measuring perfect, so I'm gonna trust the process for now. But yeah. Okay, that's the coloring book Raglan. Back to past Liz. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this kind of non-traditional take on a fall knitting plans video. I had a lot of fun doing it, and even more fun starting all these projects. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.